Hey there, this is Leslie Noble, and this is No Bullshit Truth Radio. I've been a therapist for close to 3 decades, and I help people heal from betrayal, rewrite their stories, and rise even better. But before we get started, I want to be clear about something. This video is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It is not a substitute for therapy, diagnosis, clinical treatment, or any medical advice. If you're navigating betrayal or trauma, I encourage you to seek support from a licensed mental health professional in your area. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is why you stayed in that damn relationship too long, even when you know better. That feels like a familiar story to some. So I hope today that I give you some hope, and I hope that you're able to give yourself some grace after today once you understand the pattern. So people love to say to people when they stay in relationship, if it's hurting you, just leave. Like, why do you keep going back to that person? If this is so bad, then why do you stay? Or there's something wrong that you just keep going back to this person. But anybody who's lived through betrayal, trauma bonding, or chronic emotional harm knows that it's never that simple. Leaving isn't just walking out the door. Leaving is dismantling a whole psychological ecosystem that's been running your life, and hopefully you will understand it better after today. So let's start with the nervous system. So I'm a somatic therapist. I love to do inner safety, teaching clients inner safety, learning how to be connected to their mind and their body. So the nervous system is my favorite thing to talk about when it comes to healing from betrayal and trauma. So here's the thing with our nervous system. It is wired for predictability, not happiness. So if you grew up in a chaotic environment where you experience inconsistency, emotional neglect, abuse, your nervous system learns that instability is normal. It feels familiar. So when you meet someone who gives you the same instability that you grew up with, your body says, home. I recognize this. I remember this. Your brain and your body remember it. Not because it's good, but because it's familiar. This is why people stay in painful relationships. Predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable possibility. Freedom is terrifying when you never have lived in it. And as human beings, we hate uncertainty. We hate it. And we try to avoid it. We would rather choose comfort over growth. So just know that if you're terrified of freedom, you're terrified of what comes next, that's a normal feeling when you're trying to end a relationship. The next thing that happens is leaving impacts our attachment wounds, especially early ones. And so a lot of times attachment wounds start when we're tiny babies, and it distorts your internal radar. If you learned as a child that love comes with intensity, drama, fear, or inconsistency, then as an adult, intensity starts to feel like intimacy. Your body doesn't say, this is dangerous. It says, this is connection. So when someone betrays you, pulls away, comes back, pulls away again, your nervous system interprets that as bonding, and it feels familiar. So you're not broken. Your attachment system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. All right, so let's move into self-worth, because this is another piece about why people stay in relationships that no longer serve them. So betrayal doesn't just hurt, it rewires you. So I've heard it described from multiple people is that it feels like an erosion over time. It doesn't start out like that, right? No one comes to a first date and says, here, I'm going to betray you and hurt you and cause chaos in your life. It just happens over time. And so what happens is you don't even recognize sometimes that your self-worth is being rewired, that who you believe yourself to be changes because you're in this relationship. Every time someone violates your trust, your brain absorbs a message. This is what I deserve. This is the best I can get. This is what love looks like for me. And once that belief settles into your nervous system and in your soul, leaving feels like overreaching, like you're asking for too much, like you're all of a sudden you're trying to be unrealistic. People don't stay because they're weak. They stay because betrayal has convinced them that they are unworthy of better. And here's the part that nobody talks about. You don't just get attached to the person. You get attached to the version of yourself you had to become to survive this relationship. Maybe you become the fixer, the peacemaker, the one that holds everything together, the one that absorbs everything so that your partner doesn't have to, the one who tries harder than the person you're in the relationship with, the one who makes excuses, the one that hopes. These roles become your identity, and leaving means letting go of who you've been for years. And that can be terrifying. Leaving isn't just about leaving them. It's leaving that self you've built around this relationship. And I want to say something really directly to you. You are not staying because you're stupid. You're not staying because you're weak. You're not staying because you should have known better. You're staying because your nervous system, your attachment system, your trauma history, and your identity are all working together to keep you in what feels familiar. This is patterning, not failure. So here's where healing begins. And I know you're saying to me, okay, all this sounds really good, but, how do I begin to unwind this pattern? How do I get out of it? And it's not just about leaving, it's understanding. You break the pattern by naming it and telling yourself the truth, by seeing it, by understanding the mechanics of why you stay. So understanding and insight is just the first piece, because once you understand the pattern, you can interrupt it. You can learn to regulate your nervous system. You can challenge the beliefs betrayals created. You can build a new identity that isn't rooted in survival. So the first step is telling yourself the truth. And telling yourself the truth that you're terrified to leave or that you're afraid of what will happen. You don't know, because all kinds of things when you leave a relationship go through your mind. Like, what if I never love again? What if this is it for me? What if I can't do it on my own? What if I've made a horrible mistake and I'm seeing this not very clearly? I'm seeing this wrong, this person. Feeling scared is a normal part of breaking that pattern. And, fear has the acronym FEEL EVERYTHING and RISE. You're going to feel afraid. Your nervous system is going to feel shot. It's going to feel anxious. But you have to challenge those beliefs that you've built around this relationship and the identity, and that you absolutely can build a new identity and self-worth that isn't rooted in survival mode. You deserve better than to live your life in survival mode. You deserve a relationship that respects and values you for who you are. And after you work on some of that, leaving becomes possible. Not because you forced yourself through it, but because you outgrew the version of yourself that needed to stay. If you're in this place right now, staying too long, feeling stuck, feeling ashamed because you ever just let that person in, I want you to hear me clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are patterned, and patterns can be rewired. You can absolutely heal this pattern. And before we wrap up, you can absolutely learn all of these skills by finding a qualified mental health professional that can help you navigate betrayal. There's a great book by Patrick Carnes called Betrayal Bond. I recommend that to anyone who's had a hard time leaving a relationship or a trauma-bonded relationship. I would say that's probably the best book I've ever read on understanding nervous system and your attachment wounds and your patterns and how to leave this. So if you're doing this work, the real no bullshit healing work, this is what this channel is about. The no bullshit healing. Direct, honest, grounded, no spiritual bypassing, no toxic positivity, just real healing and me telling you the truth. I'll see you next episode, and thank you so much for listening. See you next time.